Hey, it's me, Ron Vila, and today on the This Old House podcast, we're going to show you how to build a big old barn. I got my slide rule here, my winch, my cement mixer, and we're just about to pour the foundation.
Ron, this is actually the Joy of Bob Ross podcast.
Still? Well, now what the heck am I going to do with all this timber?
Well, you know, Bob Ross builds barns in his own way.
This is an old barn. It has old wood on it. Get all this color out. I'm going to put some snow on the roof, and we don't want it to... You know about that yellow snow? I don't want that up there. Okay.
Tom, you're a lifesaver. Okay, let's get back to work, people. Bob didn't always include barns and cabins on the joy of painting. That's why every time one turned up, it felt like a special treat. In this episode, we'll explore Bob Ross's fascination with these happy little shelters. So let's see. Cabin chance in this episode? 100%.
You know me, I'm kind of crazy about little cabins.
We'll talk to an architect about building them, and we're going to tell you about a super cool new exhibit at the Bob Ross Experience in Muncie. That's all about happy little cabins and old barns, too. Tom, hand me that chainsaw, would you? And get me a 45 elbow from the van. Yeah, 45, 45 and a half, whatever it takes. But before we get to barn raising over here, let's meet a new friend of the podcast.
I'd like to introduce you today to a good friend of mine,
Bob Ross, superfan.
My name is Anthony DeLucia. I am from New Haven, Connecticut, and I am the creative director for Gotham Gifts, and we also use the names Poster Foundry and Pop Threads as well. And yeah, I'm the creative guy. When I was a kid, my grandparents lived in like a two-family house, and my great-uncle lived downstairs. I feel like all they watched was PBS. They watched like This Old House.
Welcome to This Old House. Today we're going to be plastering a ceiling, we're going to be building kitchen cabinets, and we're also going to take you to a museum where they have a terrific exhibit on the history of kitchens in America.
A lot of the cooking shows like Yan Can Cook, I remember very clearly.
This particular dish I'm going to show you is one of my favorite and one of the most wonderful dish which I have created a couple years ago.
And also, of course, Bob Ross.
Hi, welcome back. I'm glad to see you today. You know, I get a lot of letters from people saying, how in the world do you come up with ideas for new paintings? And one of the ways I think I'll show you today.
As a kid, it was like I was watching Star Wars and stuff, and then it was like, here's this guy with this, you know, the curly hair and the beard, and he's talking in this calm voice, and it's just like, just a totally different thing than you would expect to see, especially as a kid.
And I feel so fortunate that this show has got so many young people interested in art.
Whether it was by design or not, it definitely was that kind of cozy programming that like you could put on and like, it gave you a good message, but you also got to see somebody create something amazing. Definitely the childhood piece. And then I can remember when the Twitch marathon thing started happening. I was working from home at the time, and it was like, this is a cool thing you could kind of just put on, and like you're already doing some creative work, and it's like kind of a nice thing to like have in as the background. You can kind of tune in a little bit sometimes when like something catches your eye, but otherwise it's just kind of like just nice, and it kind of puts you at like a different sort of mental level where you feel a little more chilled out about things maybe.
The way to learn how to paint is to be relaxed and enjoy and just let it go. Things work better for you when you're relaxed and you're really happy with what you're doing. So try to let it happen that way.
I'm a kind of a pop culture nerd. It's a fun thing that I get to kind of do it for a career as well. I started with the Gotham team about 20 years ago. When it first started, we were just kind of a retailer of third-party posters mainly, and I started out doing customer service. That was my job.
Super job that a lot of people are doing.
Then we got into like in-house designs, and I was like all over that because it was always like something I wanted to do was like make stuff.
Put a little detail maybe on that one. Maybe he's the big boss tree right there.
The passion to like create things was always kind of there, and like maybe I didn't realize it until I started doing it more. And it was more that like, wow, I love this. Like, it's very cool to have an idea in your head, and then next thing you know, it's real. There it is. And we started to get into licensing. The first few things, I was like Karate Kid, and this was before Cobra Kai, but it was just like, it's that 30-year cycle of like kind of nostalgia.
To make honey, young bee need young flower.
The second thing on my list was Bob Ross, and it ended up being the first license that we got.
Now, when you're doing this at home, if you want to put a lot of color in it, drag out your artist license and you do anything that you want to do.
Here's the stuff that you've been seeing on the show for like your whole life, and now here it is, like, to use in creative ways. There's kind of two parts with Bob Ross. There's the serious art part of it, and then the other part is kind of like the fun stuff. We've got pictures of him with Peapod, and like we made a poster of that that's really cool, and like some of the like things that have become like more memes and stuff. You know, we're doing the cool art stuff and the motivational stuff, but we're also doing like silly stuff that like is a lot of fun too.
I got a letter one time from somebody that told me I had really lost it now. I was telling everybody that trees had arms and legs and foots. But you know, painters are expected to be a little weird, so that's all right. If it helps you in your painting to make up little stories, even if they're a little silly and people laugh at you, it's all right. Anything that works for you is wonderful.
The no mistakes thing is so like, it's funny. Obviously it's become this meme almost, but at the same time, like, it's true. Like, you could turn those mistakes into positive things, right?
If it doesn't work, shoot, just fix it. Just fix it. Nothing to it. Nothing to it. You can fix anything now, because you are the master.
We all were very lucky to be exposed to that, I feel like, at a young age. And it kind of formed us as people that, like, no, like, you're good enough. Like, you could figure it out. You could do it yourself. And, like, that is a real powerful thing to believe. Like, there's really no stopping you if you take that message to heart.
See, there's no end to this. You can make as many different things as you can imagine. You're only limited on this piece of canvas by your imagination.
To keep it within the spirit of the creativity and the positivity is really important too. So like, it's a real blessing to be like, hey, this was a cool thing that I liked when I was a kid, and here I am kind of adding to it in a way. 20 years from now, people will still be talking about Bob Ross, and like, we got to play a little part in that.
Anything that you can conceive in your mind and you believe, I think you can do it. Going back to the big brush. Shoot, that one's too slow. Let's take a little bit of yellow ochre, get a little sap green. I'll be right back.
Historians claim that the first cabins ever built were in Northern Europe during the Bronze Age, around 3500 BC.
Hunter built this one a long time ago. He was out here. Maybe there was a beaver lived out here, and he came out here and trapped the animals.
In the early 1600s, the first cabins appeared in what would later become American territory, Delaware to be exact.
Something like, somebody will make a log cabin. Doesn't much matter.
One of the most famous U.S. presidents would grow up in a log cabin. That's right, Warren G. Harding.
Ron, not Harding. It was Abraham Lincoln.
Lincoln? Sure, why not? Anyway, about a century and a half later, one of the most famous American artists would put cabins back on the map in a big way.
Tell you what, let's get crazy. Let's turn our little house into a log cabin. You want to do that? Okay, we'll put some little doors across this way for the top.
In Indiana, we're surrounded by these things. You know, when you go outside of Muncie, I mean, it's just, there's so much incredible beauty around us.
Let's paint a barn today. We filmed the show in the great town of Muncie, Indiana. And around here, get a little sap green, there are a lot of beautiful, beautiful barns and covered bridges. So let's paint one.
My name is Kevin Klinger. I'm an associate professor of architecture at Ball State University, and I live here in Muncie, Indiana.
Kevin Klinger is an OG Bob Ross fan. He knows all about Bob's history in Muncie. And right from the jump, he discovered why the joy of painting was so special.
You know, at the time, Dallas was the big show on TV.
JR, I know how much you loved your daddy, but keeping that painting up there is not going to bring him back.
When you switch over to the PBS, you kind of get another lens into more cultural types of things. And so, I was very curious about those things growing up. I definitely got sucked into the Bob Ross phenomenon while it was happening.
Cut off a little roll of paint. Then we can go up in here and just barely touch. Just let it graze, see? Let it graze.
I think it was maybe the sound of the brushes that hypnotized me.
Kevin's not just an academic. He's an architect. and an artist too, with a first-hand appreciation of both pursuits.
To me, the process is what's so mesmerizing. I think about that quite a bit in terms of design and architecture as well, and the things that I encourage with my students is very process oriented, that you have to kind of love the ability to sort of find form or to find things just by exploring the medium in interesting ways. And sometimes you don't even know what you're going to end up with, but you just get surprised along the way, right? And that's a very Bob Rossian kind of sentiment.
Now, maybe right in here, we have some little bushes that live in here. I'm just going to use the various yellows, little bright red now and then. And with that, we'll pop in. Oh, there's a nice little orangey. See, little surprises just sort of happen.
I really find the process of making and building things critical to learning. You kind of have to have your hands on the materials to understand the materials, right? And in that way, I find that the disciplines between art and architecture really are not that dissimilar.
Make up some buildings. Heck, they don't have to be just like something you saw. Make them up. If an architect or somebody hadn't made it up to begin with, it wouldn't be there. So you can do that on canvas. You can be an architect on canvas. You can create anything that you want to create.
You have to interrogate the materials, kind of like you interrogate the paint on the canvas, right? And so to really understand what the potentiality is, you have to go out, try things, fail things, and then reincorporate those findings into your design strategies and your schematic thinking. If Bob Ross takes a fan brush to soften an edge or to let the light appear to cast across the surface, all of those things are techniques that are based on working with physical things.
The more you do it, the better you're going to get at it. Because with practice comes confidence. You're familiar with your tools and what they will do. You're familiar with the colors and how they'll behave, how they mix.
When you talk about like a barn, for instance, what does a barn want to be? A barn wants to keep the weather out.
We need a roof on this barn so the cow don't get cold.
It really becomes a kind of a machine for, servicing all of the needs of a farmer, for instance, right?
Okay, now we need a place up here so that the old farmer could pull his hay up, put it up in there.
And then the delight part of it really comes from the fact that there's no ornament on these things. They're just pure form. They're just pure structures. And then over time, they start to weather and they become beautiful.
Barely touch. I want to make this look like old weathered wood. Old weathered wood like me. It's had a hard life.
And Kevin doesn't just talk the talk. He walks the walk. He's a barn builder himself. Not just for sport, but for those practical reasons he mentioned.
I had horses, I had goats. Friends would come around and help, ram posts into the ground or auger out holes.
Maybe he's got a friend over here. Right there. And you put as many or as few as you want in your world.
Whoever was kind enough to come and help.
The Klinger Barn is one of many rustic buildings in and around Muncie. And just down the road, a new exhibit celebrating Bob's Cabins and Barns is about to open at the Bob Ross Experience at Minnetrista, the historic home where the joy of painting was filmed.
I think it's no mistake that this is happening in Muncie. It really is the kind of heart of America. The things that are sort of radiating out of here really can be seen as inspirational for everybody. The waters run deep here in the Midwest, and so situating Bob Ross in the Middle West is super important.
And the people here at the station, here at WIPB in good old Muncie, Indiana, they're one of the finest group of people I have ever known.
Hi, I'm Bria Cunningham. I'm the Director of Marketing and Communications at Minnetrista Museum and Gardens.
My name is Sebastian Encina. I am the Associate Director of Exhibition and Curation here at Minnetrista. It's a long way of saying I am the curator.
Bria and Sebastian are a big part of the small but mighty team that looks after the many attractions on the grounds of this historical space.
We are on a 40-acre campus, and so every time you come to visit Minnetrista, you truly can have a different experience.
Because we're smaller, because we are really ingrained with the community, what I love about this museum is that as I walk around town, as I talk to the people who come to visit us, they feel like this is their home.
Right here in Muncie, Indiana. And I'd like to thank all these people
You can go to the Met and people are going to love the art that's on display there. But I don't know if there's that same feeling of ownership at a place like that. You're going to love the art. You're going to love the experience. You're going to love the vibe. But the people here have a personal connection to what's on display. They have a personal connection to the stories we're sharing.
That includes the stories told inside the LL Ball Home, an immersive exhibition that features Bob's original paintings, artifacts from his life and his TV show. It's a place curated to inspire visitors with Bob's message of fearless creativity.
I don't think he really painted to sell. He painted to teach and inspire. That type of energy is really magnetic, especially right now in a world full of influencers and curated perfection on social media. I think all these clips with Bob on Reddit and TikTok are resurfacing, and it's very cool and retro with our younger generations.
Let's use a fan brush. And with the fan brush, I just want to make a center for a tree. Get brave. This is your bravery test.
The Bob Ross Experience is a place that people can come to and they can see the living room set up. They can go upstairs into the gallery. They can see the studio space, but they can truly look and feel and imagine themselves in this place with Bob.
Bob Ross painted in a house. It wasn't a studio. It was a living room that was turned into a studio. And how cool is that? The number of times I give tours to people and they just start going giddy because they're standing where Bob Ross stood and they get to pose in front of one of his paintings and they get to pose in front of that camera.
Now then, let's do the fun part. Let's wash the old brush. And if you've painted with me before, you know this is the part that's most exciting. Especially to the camera crew.
And now the walls of the humble, happy little house where Bob filmed The Joy of Painting are covered with those same paintings he made for us.
I'm a big fan of context, and I looked through our collections and I was looking at all the paintings that we had, and I started noticing some trends, and maybe they're just trends that are in my head, but I just started seeing some of these patterns. So often there's not a sign of human presence. It is, here's nature, untouched, unadulterated. But then every once in a while in his episodes say, we're going to add a little cabin. We're going to add a little structure here.
Tell you what, such a nice place. Maybe there'd be a little cabin out here. Maybe one day there was an old farmer or a rancher that had a cabin out here and he got tired and moved away.
You can't quite tell if the structure is currently in use or it's dilapidated and it's been sitting there unused for 50, 100 years or so. But there's something there that appealed to me.
You know, when you paint, tell little stories. It makes painting easier. It makes you understand why things work in your painting. Shoot, sometimes I get carried away and maybe talk about the old trapper that lived in the woods, maybe fell in the river, just crazy things like that. But it gives you a reason for an old abandoned cabin being there or something like it. But make up little stories. I know, you're going to say your friends and relatives will sort of laugh at you, stand around talking to yourself, painting, but that's okay. It's okay.
Now, those stories are coming together as part of a new exhibit at the Bob Ross Experience. Nestled Cabins, highlighting a collection of Bob's beloved building-themed paintings.
Nestled Cabins really came out of picturing a person in these environments and showing ourselves kind of stepping outside of that cabin and being able to see these majestic landscapes that he so wonderfully painted.
Now we'll take the brown, put some bright red in it, little white, and we'll just put in a little roof. There. Well, wouldn't this be a gorgeous, gorgeous place to live? Look out over all these beautiful mountains and trees. I'd like to have this cabin.
So from October 25th of this year to October 11th of next year, we can literally step into the tranquil world of Bob Ross's cozy cabins and old barns. An exhibition that offers a look at both the familiar and the unexpected in Bob's celebrated artistic legacy.
You can get tickets on our website. If you go to Minnetrista.net, there is a ticket button in the top right corner. And so our tickets include admission to the Bob Ross Experience, the Oakhurst Experience, and our main exhibition gallery.
And here's a little podcast exclusive for y'all. If for whatever reason you can't come see Bob's paintings, very soon, Bob's paintings might come to see you.
We are in the early stages of creating a bigger Bob Ross traveling exhibition. So we're hoping to make Bob even more accessible. So not only do we want you to come to Muncie and Manchester to see Bob, but when we can, we're going to want to bring Bob out to you as well. Not everybody gets the chance to travel. Not everybody can come to Muncie, Indiana. So how can we bring Bob to Idaho and to Austin and to other locations? So that's something that we are working on. We don't have complete details that I can share right now, but that is something that we are currently working towards.
But if you can, get yourself to Muncie and experience the joy firsthand. Whether you love cabins, mountains, or happy little trees, once you cross the threshold and literally enter Bob's world, you'll likely find yourself feeling all the happy little feels.
You're getting to have this feeling of nostalgia that transcends all of our generations. Whether you watched Bob live or a rerun, everybody has this connection.
And we can get into the style, his haircut and his love of animals and the visual aspects of it. And of course, the art itself, I think, is quite beautiful. But I think it's that feeling accepted.
And you can do this. You really and truly can do this. I know. You're saying I could never paint, never draw a straight line. You can. This is one style of painting that is for every person.
And whatever your Bob Ross context is, painting along with him, chilling out with him, or just marveling at his works, inside this Indiana house, you'll soon be nestled in joy.
This is a person that was able to tap into his creative well as a kind of lifestyle and to explain as he was doing it why it's important to take time to kind of celebrate the act of creation.
Just have fun, let him go wherever you want him.
You know, his ability to be able to communicate that in a very soft, calming kind of way. You know, it's important to just take time to look for the happy trees in life. And so, you know, in a way, there is a kind of timelessness, and there's also a kind of wisdom in discovering moments that are happy accidents.
Because we don't make mistakes. We absolutely don't. We have a happy accident every so often. But that's it. That is it. Scratching a few little sticks and twigs and arms and legs on some of these trees, and shoot, we're in business.
The old clock in the barn tells me we've got another finished podcast episode. I want to thank my guests, Bria Cunningham, Sebastian Encina, Kevin Klinger, and Anthony DeLucia. I think this barn came out pretty nice.
Hey, look out!
Whoa! This happy little episode was produced with help from James Shapiro at Jansen Media and mixed by Tom Carcutt at Digital Sound and Video of Daytona Beach, Florida. Come on and support your local public television station and say thanks for giving us Bob Ross and the joy of painting. We want to see your paintings. Use hashtag #PaintLikeBobRoss. Bob Ross certified instructors, they're the only ones that know how to teach you Bob's world-famous painting method. Don't settle for second best. Find a local CRI at bobross.com, then click Take a Class. If you got your own Bob Ross story to tell, you can leave us a message at 866-FANBRUSH. Or send an email to podcast@bobross.com. And follow us on Instagram at BobRoss_The Joy of Painting. I'm Ron Scalzo. The Joy of Bob Ross is written and produced by me, Ron Scalzo, in partnership with Bob Ross, Inc. Bob Ross name and images, they're registered trademarks of Bob Ross, Inc.